Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon for everybody in the East Coast. My name is Andrew Lee, and I'm the director of the Force.com platform. And today's webinar, we have a really exciting topic. We actually had several hundred people sign up for this topic. It was one of the most popular webinars that we've held in the last few months. And the topic specifically is the Service Help Desk in the cloud. And I think it's interesting, as a custom application development professional here at Force.com, we have seen a lot of customers tailor the Service Cloud solution to essentially be an internal help desk. But what we're excited to announce today and talk to you about is BMC, the leader in that space, now building a pre-packaged solution for a help desk in the cloud and making that available to you running completely natively on the Force.com platform. So to talk about that, we have the principal product manager, Chad from BMC, who's going to talk a little bit about why service desks are important, number one, but even more important, what have they built at BMC and how they've made that available off the Force.com platform. And then we also have, from IDC, Steve Hendrick, who has spent the last several years looking at cloud technologies and cloud platforms to talk about some of the benefits of bringing something like a help desk solution into the cloud. And then at the tail end, we'll spend about 6 or 7 minutes, and we'll actually give you a demo of the product. We'll open up for Q&A. And before we actually dive into all that content, I want to announce that we're going to be giving away an iPad today. So at the very end, just before the Q&A, we will go ahead and look at the entire list of all the people who are on this call, and we will announce a name to win the new iPad. And I'll say right up front, I'm very jealous of whoever's got it because I don't have mine yet. But we'll announce a winner, and we'll just ask you to email in your information, and we will send you a brand new iPad. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right into our webinar. So first, a safe harbor statement. I think anybody who's familiar with Salesforce.com knows that we're a publicly traded company. There's more information about the safe harbor statement out on our website. And before I actually introduce Chad from BMC, I want to get a little feel of the audience that we have out there. So we have 3 questions that we wanted to ask you. So the first one is we want to ask you a little bit, what are you using for a service desk solution today? Are you using one of the kind of the classic package solutions from Remedy or Heat or ServiceNow? Are you doing something that's homegrown? So that's the first question. If you can just select one of those, that would be great. The next question that we're going to ask you, we're bringing it up right now, is we want to get a little information about how many people on the call are really familiar with the cloud. We have a good mix of people who already have Salesforce.com and also people who are not so familiar with the cloud. So we just want to get an idea of, what do you believe is your expertise in the cloud? And I would say if you're a beginner, that means that you're still trying to figure out what does cloud computing mean. And if you're an expert, you're familiar with using some of the technologies like Apex Code and the Force.com platform. You've probably created a custom object or a custom application on your own. Go ahead and click one of those. And then finally, we're going to bring up a third question. The last question that we have is, what is your hope that the cloud will bring to a service desk solution? And we want to make sure that we're targeting this webinar and the overall solution appropriately. So if you can go ahead and click, are you looking for faster implementation, lower cost of ownership, subscription-based pricing, security and scale, or are you really just looking for ease of use? And as a Salesforce.com employee, I probably wish that we had a button for all above, but I think we're really curious. What is it that you hope that the cloud is going to bring to this overall solution? So we're going to go ahead and announce some of the results of that later on in the webinar, but while we're going ahead and compiling up those results, let me introduce our first speaker of the day, Chad Hafferson from BMC Software. Chad, thank you so much today for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I understand, you're the principal product manager from BMC who built this product. Can you give us a little bit of information about, why is the service desk important? What did you guys build at BMC? And then what are the benefits of building it out on the cloud?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. That's a great intro, and that's exactly what I am planning to talk about. For those of you on the phone not familiar with BMC Software, we are the 8th largest software vendor in the world, and we've been around for quite a while, and we have been building service desk applications for quite a long time. And while the service desk on Force.com offering is relatively new, we released it at the end of April, this is certainly built on our expertise working with thousands of customers in the service desk space. And based on that, there are some key metrics that are important to customers out there as they're looking for a service desk. I mean, you have to ask yourself that about any application you go out and buy. Why are you looking to automate a particular area of your business? And across the board, we hear from customers they're trying to reduce costs and they're trying to improve customer satisfaction. So, well, I'll talk a little bit more about how we're addressing these items, but really it's all about reducing costs, improving customer satisfaction, and you do that by reducing the time it takes to create and manage your incidents. You do that by increasing the first call resolution, so when a customer calls and asks for help, you can answer that right away as opposed to having to take it offline and go work on it in the background, or better yet, give the customer the ability to solve the problem on their own. It's about reducing asset costs and compliance risk, and it's about reducing the time to actually resolve the calls themselves. So when you're looking at a service desk, and again, this is based on our expertise with thousands of customers that have used our various service desk solutions, the question always comes up, what do I really need? What do I need to make sure is there? And while you'll hear from all the various vendors out there, lots of different slants to the applications and lots of different features, there are really 4 key areas that need to be addressed in a particular service desk. And those are incident management, the ability to capture requests coming in from your end users and then work those through to resolution. There's inventory and asset management, the ability to capture an inventory of your IT assets and your IT infrastructure that you're actually maintaining on behalf of those customers. Knowledge management, or the ability to take the information you learn as you solve the problem and push that back out to the end user community and your other analysts so they're able to solve problems on their own. And then there's self-service for end users, so enabling the end users to do as much of this as they can, especially in this age where the first thing everybody does is goes out and searches Google. It quickly gives them the ability to try to solve problems on their own without having to necessarily wait for an analyst.
So Chad, this is a really good overview of what a service desk would deliver. And the one thing that really pops out to me that's not really in the Service Cloud solution today is inventory and asset management. How does an external call center solution really differ from what we talk about here as a service desk solution?
Yeah, and that's really one of the key differences between an internal call center is you're really tied into the internal assets that a customer is going to be using or your end user is going to be using, and how that is overlaid with your overall IT infrastructure. And I'll show some of that when we get to the demo on exactly what that means and how having that inventory in your service desk solution allows you to get to root cause analysis on problems faster.
That's great. So what's in the overall solution then?
Sure. So that's where I was going next. Similar to the last slide, we talked about the key things that need to be there. We, of course, deliver the key things in our Service Desk on Force.com application. We have a incident management in our help desk. There's a self-service portal for end users that includes frequently asked questions and knowledge-based articles, global search capabilities. And then there's inventory management, which can range from a simple asset inventory. With the majority of our customers, we see them come to us with maybe an Excel spreadsheet listing of their assets, so it's pretty low on the maturity scale, but we have built this based on our common data model that can scale all the way up to a configuration management database, so you can define relationships between all of your various assets as well. So when somebody has a problem in one area, you can quickly see the relationship with other assets in the infrastructure to see if there's potentially other areas impacting them as well. And we built all of this on the Force.com platform. That is a key message here. This is not a repurposed version of one of our other software packages. We built this from scratch on Force.com, leveraging the infrastructure of the Force.com platform, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So one, we can deliver very quickly, and two, we were able to leverage the components of the Force.com platform to really build in a significant ease of use into the application, make it very, very easy to use, very, very easy to get up and running. A couple of the key points, and you'll see some of this in the demo, we've priced this at a low price point, and with the subscription model, it's very easy to get up and running, very, very low risk to the customers to start using it. We've included all of the key functions that are necessary for a service desk, the personalization that allows the end users to really use the application in the way that makes the most sense to them, and we'll show that in the demo. There's the inventory management piece. We've included best practices, so out of the box, your help desk analysts can have process maps of how to process incidents that are coming in. You don't have to go out and spend lots of money on training for your analysts. You don't have to necessarily do process re-engineering before you implement something like that. We've built all of that into the application itself. And again, we took our industry-leading service desk knowledge, we leveraged that into this product on top of the industry-leading cloud platform.
That's great. Chad, I'm really impressed, and I think this is a fantastic example of BMC bringing, over how many years have you guys been doing service desks now?
Well, we've been doing service desks for over 30 years.
For over 30 years of domain expertise and simply bringing your best practices to what is now the leading enterprise cloud platform.
Yep. We discovered some significant benefits in using the Force.com platform. One, time to market was extremely fast. And with the traditional enterprise software where you're going out and you're installing software on site at a customer site somewhere, developing a package or developing a release around those typically takes you at least a year and a half, if not longer. With the Force.com platform, we were able to bring this solution to market in 7 months and increase our release cadence up to 3 to 4 months per major release. And these are major releases that have major functionality in them as opposed to small little patches. From a customer standpoint, when we release an upgrade, you get it. All that functionality is there, and you can start using it. All of your configurations and customizations seamlessly upgrade as well and are usable going forward. That also means for patches and defect fixes and things like that, they get rolled in. You don't have to wait for monthly hot fixes. You don't have to wait for annual patch releases. You're getting those things as they are rolled out. With the Force.com platform, we get enterprise-grade security, scalability, and performance. So we get to focus on our core competency, which is service desk, while we rely on Salesforce for the infrastructure as the experts in that area. It allows us to really keep our focus there. And then on the ease of deployment side, we have customers who are up and running in a week.
This is great. And just to be really clear, when you say that you built it on the Force.com platform, that means that you've built it 100% native on the Force.com platform. So if I went out to trustsalesforce.com to see the performance metrics about, all the Salesforce prepackaged apps or the custom apps that customers have built on their own, those numbers, all of that security, all of that scale would apply completely to the BMC solution?
It applies completely. When you go out there at trust.salesforce.com and you see that there's somewhere around 250 million transactions happening per day, those include our transactions through the Service Desk on Force.com application.
That is great. I can't tell you how excited we are to have somebody of BMC's caliber really build on the Force.com platform. And I think for the people on the call today, probably the most important thing here is if you're native on the Force.com platform and I'm an existing Salesforce.com customer, that means that this basically is all pre-integrated to all of the packaged applications that I have from Salesforce.com and also the custom applications that I have as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, including AppExchange applications as well. Since we are built on the platform, you can leverage all of those. We share some of the common infrastructure of the Sales and Service Cloud applications. Not all of it. Some of it we built custom to ourselves where it made sense. But accounts and contacts, things like that, are certainly leveraged across the application.
That's great.
A couple of highlights of customers who have recently signed up with the Service Desk on Force.com offering. The first one I listed here, Allied Wireless. They recently took over some service areas for Verizon, and they're a fast-growing organization, adding customers quickly, adding support staff quickly, and they needed to get something up and running to manage their infrastructure pretty quickly. So they naturally turned to us to look for that because they were an existing Salesforce.com user and very, very happy with the platform they were using. So they were able to get up and running very quickly, and in fact, we issued a press release today about Allied Wireless, and you're more than free to go out and get more information about them in that press release that was dropped today. Lumen 21, another example of a company that provides network services to other companies. So they're basically an outsourcer for network services. They need to be able to take the calls coming in from their customers asking for help with their network. So they're able to use our self-service portal to allow their customers to call and log incidents and then manage those queues of incidents coming in. And they like the fact that they could very quickly add on additional users as they expect to grow very rapidly.
This is really impressive. I've got to give you credit. So you already have customers that are up and running. This is already generally available. And if I'm a customer and I want to get this, I just simply go out to the App Exchange and look up BMC or Service Desk, and I can see the listing, right?
Yep. You can go to the bmc.com/force and find all the information there. You can go to the App Exchange and search on BMC, and you'll find all the information there as well. It's really where you want to go for that.
And it's interesting as I look at these different customers, we're just starting to get the results now from the surveys that we put out, and it looks like the majority of people who are doing Service Desk today, they are kind of spread out across the package solutions, but the vast majority are actually using manual processes. And I'm kind of surprised about that. I'm surprised how many people are using things like Excel spreadsheets or PDFs. As a matter of fact, the number that I've got here is 86% of the people on the call today are using some kind of homegrown or customer manual solution.
And it's not necessarily because that's the best solution. It's because that's really the only solution that's been available. If you want a package solution, you have to go out and you have to spend a good chunk of money up front to get that, and the implementation time and the upgrade and maintenance time and all of those things. In fact, that's a good segue into our next slide, where we talk about the benefits of the cloud for our customers. We've talked about how great the cloud was for us to go ahead and build this application on the cloud, but from a customer standpoint, with the multi-tenant environment, we can provide this as completely operating expense for customers, annual subscriptions or pay-as-you-go monthly subscriptions, and it makes it very easy for the customer to predict the operating costs that they're going to incur with an application like this. It's also very elastic, so it'll scale as you scale. So as you need to add users, you can very easily add users. You don't have to do a lot of complex negotiation up front to figure out what you're going to need, what you might need in the future to bake that into your price. It's just very easy to consume.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, essentially what you've done is you've provided the exact same model that we have in terms of the sales, service, marketing clouds, the custom cloud, but you've made that available for the Service Desk.
Exactly, and I think most of the people on the call are familiar with Salesforce.com and the cloud in general, but just one key point with on-demand or software as a service applications is as the vendor, we have to continually win your business. We need you to renew every year, so we are very focused on ease of use and customer satisfaction, because if you're not using it and not happy, you're not going to keep subscribing with us.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I always explain when I talk to CIOs out there that the cloud simply makes the vendors like Salesforce.com and BMC much more accountable than we were just 5 or 10 years ago.
Exactly.
So I think this is a pretty good segue. As we look at the overall numbers, the next question we asked people was, what was your experience with the cloud? And it's interesting. We actually have a pretty broad group out there. We have 9% of you that say that you're expert, all the way up to about 30% that say that you're complete beginners. So it's one of the reasons that we wanted to invite Steve Hendrick. And for those of you who don't know Steve Hendrick, he's the Group Vice President from IDC. He's in charge of application development and deployment research. And Steve has spent a lot of time over the last 2 to 3 years really looking at cloud technologies and cloud platforms in general. We wanted to invite Steve to come here and kind of give us a take of, so here we have a really large vendor like BMC making a solution like Service Desk available out in the cloud. And we wanted to get your take, Steve. Why do we start to see people moving to the cloud? What are some of the benefits of the cloud? And people on the call, what would they kind of expect technically from a solution like this versus something like an on-premise brethren?
Okay, yeah, Andrew, thanks for that. Yeah, I've got a couple of slides here I think that'll be very interesting to all of you on this webinar, because it really kind of lays down kind of our high-level perspective on what the cloud is and what it isn't. So as you can see in this slide, what I want to do first, I guess, is give you a little context for this quote. You can read the quote while I'm talking to you. IDC as a company is engaged in a massive amount of supply-side and demand-side research all about the cloud. And when you look across all of IDC's cloud revenue tracking and the forecasts that we do and the evaluation of vendor strategies and all the time we spend talking to cloud users on both a qualitative and quantitative basis, all of this information points to really high customer demand for the cloud. And this high demand is going to translate into not only very high revenue growth on the part of all the vendors who are engaged and participate in with cloud services, but also provides a huge vendor opportunity. And I think we're seeing some of that start to happen right now with vendors like Salesforce, with Force.com. Now, the second statement on this slide stems from how the cloud leverages the expansive reach of the web, as well as the dominant interaction pattern of the web right now, which is the interaction between people and with systems. And this is exactly why the cloud's going to rapidly become the focal point for how you do support conversations. So, Andrew, could we have the second slide here? All right. Cloud computing really does have the potential to revolutionize many aspects of IT. And the design point for clouds like Force.com is essentially a utility model which exploits two key attributes of the cloud. The first is shared resources, and the second is low cost relative to traditional alternatives for deployment. And these characteristics are key in driving what we call new market growth, and that's what you see in the bubble in the upper left-hand corner. And, up in that search for new market growth, we've got a couple things going on. The first is we have emerging markets like the BRIC countries, BRIC standing for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So we have developing countries that are really famously interested in generation-skipping technologies like cloud, because it provides immediate and continuing access to the most up-to-date technologies and capabilities that you can get your hands on. Now, at the same time, we have small and medium businesses who also live up there, because we've got plenty of these small and medium businesses around the globe, and they're intensely interested in cloud for these reasons, as well as the low TCO that cloud can provide. I think that's clearly going to factor into more of what I have to say here. Now, the cloud also represents the emergence of new technologies and approaches to addressing IT needs, as identified in the upper right-hand corner of this slide. And while this varies by cloud service provider, configuration-based development, multi-tenancy, dynamic scalability are all some of the key capabilities that can readily be found in clouds like Force.com. And these capabilities really do drive not only application development and deployment, but they drive the productivity of building applications up, and they drive the cost down. It's also interesting to note that the leading vendors in the cloud today, and that's the circle at the bottom of this slide, include a variety of vendors like Amazon, Google, and Salesforce. And all of these vendors are really Internet era pioneers. And these vendors were visionary in their understanding of how to combine the technology model of the Internet with the new business model to create compelling solutions to business problems. Now, the competitive pressures that these vendors are exerting has the potential to be actually pretty disruptive to other vendors in the market that have cloud intentions. But keep in mind that the cloud era is really just starting, and so at IDC, we're expecting to see lots and lots more change in this very interesting and competitive landscape. So now let's look at the next slide, which has some information about what organizations are saying about the cloud.
Hey, Steve, as I switch you over to the next slide, Let me see if I understand what you're essentially saying. If I'm on the call today and I have a service desk solution, perhaps it was something that was homegrown like we saw in the survey, or, I've got a manual process that I'm considering the cloud, do I bring in my IT department? And if I'm an IT executive or I'm a CIO, if I understand what you're saying is that, the cloud is a viable strategy out there, and if maybe it's even past a viable strategy, it's maybe something that every IT department at some percent, should have in-house. And as I look at your slide, to achieve some of these benefits.
Yeah, realistically, if you're coming from a homegrown solution for Service Desk, the idea of kind of an application that's already in the cloud is really compelling, because, it's instantly available. If it reflects, kind of the conventions around what have gone on as far as, cloud pricing, it's likely to be very, very cost effective. And as Chad was talking about, there's none of the sort of the maintainability issues that you have to worry about, and you gain all these upside opportunities and benefits from the fact that the vendor owns, all of the scalability and upgrade issues. So it really is a really compelling solution, and especially so relative to homegrown solutions. So in this slide, what I want to do is talk a little bit about an end-user survey that we did end of last year. And so this slide provides really a graphical look at what users want to see in the cloud. And as you can see from the top-ranked response here, users really like the idea of immediate access to technology that the cloud provides. And the cloud provides this immediate access to not only packaged applications like what Chad is talking about, but it also provides access to application development environments like Force.com. And so users like the concept of having access to both of these immediately. The second ranked response is, which is, pay only for what you use, really brings economics into the discussion. And this is, and the information here from the users is consistent with an ROI study that we did about the Force.com platform, which showed that applications could be developed about 4 times faster, as well as about 4 times cheaper, and we're able to drive millions of dollars to the bottom line because of the much faster time to market and reduced support costs of the deployed applications. So, and that's completely consistent with some of what you've been hearing from what Chad has been saying as well. So scalability was ranked number 3 here, and that's a key feature of clouds like Force.com. And this bi-directional scalability ensures that your application's not only going to be able to support peak loads without breaking, but it's also not going to break your IT budget as well.
It's interesting, Steve. I would share with you that the last result that we had for people that were on the call were the reasons that they would actually move to a service desk solution in the cloud was very similar to this. Number 1 was ease of use. Number 2 was total cost of ownership. And surprising, number 3 was actually scale and security. So I think it seems to mirror your research.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going down the list here, we have avoidance of upfront product costs. That was ranked number 4. And that really reiterates the importance that users place on more rational pricing that they typically find in the cloud. Below that, we have access to the latest functionality without having to worry about upgrades. And this is, highly regarded by users, especially in small and medium businesses, because, they realistically have limited IT resources. So this capability is really just as important to applications running on the cloud as it is to building and deploying applications in the cloud. And then finally, standardization of application development and deployment not only makes team development easier, but in cases like Force.com, it actually makes development easier because Force.com is very configuration-based in its approach to application development. And that really provides a very highly integrated development and deployment platform and environment and the ability to build applications with little or no code. So I guess the question is, what does all of this mean for applications like BMC's Service Desk running on Force.com, which is what we get to in the next slide. Now, the Force.com platform really is a very highly integrated and very powerful development and deployment environment for building applications. And, BMC's experience in building their service desk on Force.com was very similar to other vendors that we have interviewed. And development was much faster, allowing a much more rapid time to market. The code developed was high quality right from the start. Deployment was easy, it was fast, and the post-deployment operational costs were low. And realistically, this has allowed BMC to provide a very highly competitive and cost-effective service desk application. And this type of cloud application will be very interesting to companies of all sizes, but especially, as I've kind of alluded to earlier, small and medium businesses who want a very powerful yet affordable service desk capability without all that expensive initial commitment or ongoing support expense of other service desk alternatives. So that's IDC's perspective on the cloud.
Yeah, Steve, I think that's a great summary. I think, essentially, you mirror a lot of what we've seen out of the market, a lot of what customers have seen, but, as IDC, I think you see it from a much more objective, kind of even a higher level perspective in looking at the market. The one thing that really stands out that you mentioned earlier was that ability for people to easily upgrade. And sometimes people think in technical terms of the ability to easily upgrade, but I think in business terms, what that really means is the pace of innovation that is generated in these solutions that we haven't seen historically. The ability to know that your application is constantly going to be getting better 3 to 4 times a year, getting, a couple dozen to sometimes a few hundred new capabilities and features within the solution.
Well, that's right, Andrew. I mean, it actually means 2 things to me. One is the fact that as a user of this technology, you get to avoid worrying about all of the upgrade issues. But also you benefit from the fact that as those upgrades are going on behind the scenes, you get the benefit of all the latest technology.
So, Steve, I think it's a great summary, and I think, let's go ahead and dive right into the application itself. Let's move into the demo. Chad, you're still on the line, right?
Oh, of course. Thanks, Andrew.
So, Chad, let's bring up that application, and here we're looking at the BMC Service Desk application. I have to tell you, I like the look and feel, and again, that was the number one thing that we heard from the callers today is they just wanted something that was easy to use, it was low cost, and again, scalable and secure. So why don't you walk us through kind of a day in the life and show us what you guys have built?
Yep. Interestingly enough, 49% of the respondents today responded that ease of use was the key, and the next closest was lower costs. And when we built this, we really focused on two things: customer satisfaction, from the standpoint of how do I get my job done faster, and you do that through an easy-to-use application. You do that through an intuitive application, and then there's the lower cost, and we've talked about that pretty significantly throughout the presentation today. So I'm going to just give you a quick tour of the application, and the when you look at it as a service desk solution, there's really two types of users, and they have two different types of needs. There's the help desk analysts, the people who are going to be solving the tickets or the incidents that are coming into IT and managing the infrastructure. And then there's everybody else, people like myself, people like Andrew, people like Steve on the phone who have BlackBerries, who have iPhones, who have laptops and infrastructure and application needs that are going to need help from time to time. And what we're looking at right now is our self-service portal, and I have logged in as Sally Smith, who's having a problem with my BlackBerry. On my portal, which is completely personalizable by me, I have the ability to create new service requests, and I'll show you a little bit about that, how that works in a second. I've got a listing of all of the service requests I've created. I have frequently asked questions that have been created by the knowledge that's stored in our application to make it easy to search for things that might be out there. And you can note that we're not just talking at frequently asked questions about IT. This can easily be purposed to use for HR type issues or vacation and expense report type questions as well. And then I have some broadcasts over on the right side of the screen that give me some information about what might be going on with the systems out there, or that just might be general notices that need to go out to the population of my employee base. So I mentioned earlier I'm having a problem with my BlackBerry, so I'm just going to simply say I need a BlackBerry, or I need to fix a problem with my BlackBerry. Click my search button, and what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take that first step and try to help Sally solve that problem on her own. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to list out any frequently asked questions that match the keywords that she's entered here, and you can be more specific with the keywords if you want to. And there's a couple here, and well, these don't really work for me. I'm not getting my email on my BlackBerry, so these aren't really what the problem is. I can rate how helpful this is, so I can give some feedback to IT on whether or not their frequently asked questions are actually helping me. We also go a little bit further, and I mentioned earlier, at this day and age, everybody goes out and searches Google whenever they see an error message on something. This actually does that for me. So in addition to the frequently asked questions that get searched, it'll go out and do a Google search on those keywords as well and relay those back to you right here in the same interface, so you don't have to go hunting around all over the place. I have additional frequently asked questions over here on the right side, and then if none of this is going to work, I can simply go create a service request, a general one, or we can create some templates that allow you to create template service requests. I'm not going to make you guys watch me type, so we're going to go ahead and say service request has been submitted, and I'm going to jump now over to that second role, who is the help desk analyst who's actually going to be trying to solve this call, and this is what they see. You can see now I've got what I would say is a little bit more complex interface here, and that's because I have to have a lot of details in front of me to be able to do my job effectively. All of these views in the middle of the screen, the open BlackBerry incidents, the tasks by category, are all completely personalizable by the end user. You can create them, you can configure them, you can move them around, resize where they're going to be, all those kinds of things. So you can very quickly get to the information that's pertinent to you to do your job. So we're going to go ahead and jump forward on this BlackBerry issue that came in. So I have one here that, click this here, there we go. And I've now opened up the incident that Sally Smith had entered about not being able to receive updates on her BlackBerry, and I can see some basic information about it. Some of the things we've done to make things easier for the end user. We have algorithms, configurable algorithms built into the system that allow you to automatically prioritize and the incidents as they come in. So you see, as I typed in high impact and high urgency, the priority automatically updated to 1. So from a help desk analyst standpoint, I don't have to worry about figuring out what the priorities of these things are. It's going to tell me, so I know which ones I should be working on, which ones I shouldn't. So I look at the details here. I see, okay, we're unable to receive updates. If this is a more complex one where I need, whoops, wrong button I clicked, where I need a little bit more information about the client, I have all of the client details here, and you'll see some new things coming here in the future that gives you much more of a profile-based look, like something you'd see in a user profile with pictures and all of those kinds of things. But it gives me all the information I need to contact the user. Now, okay, so in this case, the user's having a problem updating or getting updates on their BlackBerry. When I look over at my broadcast, and they're scrolling across the top of the screen as well, I see that there's a problem with one of the BlackBerry servers that's being researched. Now, that's probably what the problem is, but I don't know for sure. And we talked earlier about the idea of the asset inventory. So because I'm Sally Smith, because I have an asset inventory in the system, I know that this is Sally Smith's BlackBerry, and I link it to the incident so that I can go out and I can actually look to see what's going on with other potential assets in the infrastructure that might be related to Sally's problem. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use what we call our configuration item explorer to go see what's going on with Sally's BlackBerry. And here I see Sally's BlackBerry. It's a BlackBerry Pearl 8100 licensed to Sally Smith, and there's an X on it because there's an incident log right now. But downstream, she's connected to this corporate BlackBerry server, which is having the issue. If I click on that, then it's going to load up and it's going to tell me, okay, yep, there is a broadcast to this. Something is being worked on here. So now I know that she is connected to the problem BlackBerry server, and that's really what the challenge with this particular incident is. I come back to my incident. I can link Sally's incident now to that broadcast by simply entering the broadcast information in here, and then it will automatically update throughout the process and close out based on the resolution to that BlackBerry issue that originally caused the broadcast in the first place. So from an analyst standpoint, once I find something that's already being worked on, I can just link to it, let things automatically be updated and notified back out to the end users without having to manually keep going back in and checking on the incidents themselves. And of course, behind the scenes on these, you can configure the workflow rules that drive notifications and escalations and things like that using the Force.com platform.
Chad, I've got to tell you, your user interface, I said earlier, looked really clean, and I noticed from a Force.com perspective, it was a really nice use of kind of visual force technology. I mean, you've really kind of tailored the look and a feel to what you guys understand a service desk user would need. I did like the graphical look there. What made you guys choose kind of a graphical design where earlier you were looking at the BlackBerry attached to the server? Is that something that people generally expect is kind of a visual representation of the different systems?
That is, from an IT standpoint, is a visual representation of those systems, so I can quickly jump up and down the tree. Now, this is a very simple example, but in more complex environments, you have these going 7, 8 levels deep at times. So it's very important to be able to quickly navigate through that to see where problems might be coming from. And you're right with the Visual Force choice as well. We chose Visual Force pretty early on because it gave us the flexibility to provide all of this information in a very interactive format on one screen, because that's what back to the ease of use story, that's what the help desk analysts need, is one place where they can get to everything without having to navigate around to various screens. So that's where we focused on this. And
that's great.
The personalization as well.
And then this runs in a browser. Does it run on other devices as well?
Well, you can see right now I'm running it on Safari. We are soon to release mobile capabilities for this for BlackBerry, iPhone, Droid applications as well, and it'll run in any web browser.
That's great. And of course, we're working on the iPad. We'd love to see this running on the iPad. I'm seeing more and more of those, but great job on building what looks to be a really highly usable application that requires very little configuration to get up and go.
Yep.
Great. Hey, so let's go ahead and pop back into the presentation itself, and we're at that place now where we want to let you know where you can get this, and because this is out on the cloud, Chad, what you're saying is that these guys can do a free trial very similar to the Salesforce automation tool. You'll give away this product for 30 days free.
Yeah, in fact, I missed my last 10 words that I was going to say at the demo, which is, there's lots of other little features that we have as part of the application, but you don't need me to tell you. You can go register for a free trial, and you can try it all out yourself and see how it works. BMC.com/force, and you can just a few simple bits of information, and your instance is provisioned in about 10 minutes.
Great, and pardon my little alert there. So if I understand, so there's two different places. You can go to bmc.com/force, and you have an entire website
Yep.
that is dedicated to this solution where you can really get a lot of information. And then you could also go out to the App Exchange and see maybe a taped video and get information there as well.
Taped video and download the free trial from there as well. Well, it's not download, it's register for the free trial there as well. So you can get all the information, the videos, the data sheets, the white papers, customer testimonials, all that stuff you can get either through App Exchange or through bmc.com/force.
Super. So, one of the key questions that we get there, if I understand, I register for the free trial, and then what would I expect after I register?
You will get an email back from Salesforce saying that here's your login information for the free trial, and that's it. You'll get some email reminders from us throughout the 30-day trial period just to let you know where you are and offer some assistance with additional information that might be helpful to you. But it's really just a matter of putting your name and email address in, and we will send you that login information within 5 to 10 minutes. It's an automated process. It just depends on the time of day on how long it takes to actually get through the entire process.
Okay, so if I understand, it's fully automated. I don't have to call up anybody.
Nope.
I don't have to talk to anybody.
Don't have to talk to
either
anyone.
Salesforce or BMC.
Nope.
That's great. So let's move into Q&A. And before I move into Q&A, let's announce who the iPad winner is today. We're very excited to say that the winner who is on the call today is Michael Webb. And Michael, we will email you afterwards. You'll get an email from Leslie Thomas, and we will email you to understand exactly where to send that iPad. But congratulations. Again, I'm very jealous. I'm hoping to get mine in the next few weeks, but we will be sending you out the new iPad. So with that, let's move into Q&A. And, the number one question that we're being asked is, Chad, you said that this is low cost. What is the pricing for the overall solution?
Yeah, sure. List pricing for this application is $79 per user per month. Those users are your help desk analysts, the people actually creating and resolving the incidents themselves, creating the knowledge base entries, populating the asset inventory. The end users who log the incidents through the self-service portal or through email are free.
Okay, so if I understand, if I'm supporting 500 people in my company and I have 15 people supporting them, I'm paying for the 15
You're
people.
You're paying for the 15, yes, correct.
Great. If the other one, I think we covered it before, but I want to make sure, can I use this with my existing Salesforce.com org? Is this fully integrated?
Fully integrated with Salesforce.com org, yes.
Are there any addition limitations on that? Can I use it with UE, EE, PE?
I don't believe there are any limitations on that, but we do have that listed on our website, the exact details on that.
All right, and I do believe that it's available at least for those three as we start to get down to kind of some of the group edition and some of the smaller orgs. We're not absolutely sure, but definitely check out the website on that. But I think you're going to see it at PE, EE, and UE levels. There was another question about implementation, and I think we talked this through a little bit, but the implementation is you just simply sign up, you get the email, and it automatically is downloaded into your instance of Salesforce.com.
Yeah, it's automatically set up. It's actually the trial is set up as a separate org as part of the trial itself. As you implement, you can have that moved into your org if you'd like to do that, or you can have a trial set up in your existing org if you want to do that as well. On the implementation side, we have found that customers are more successful when they use one of our basic implementation packages, which are all of about 40 hours of time with one of our consultants, and that's really about how should I set this up? How should I do this versus how to do it? Because most of that stuff, like you said, you can do yourself.
So kind of a fast start program.
Exactly.
And again, that was available for how long?
It's 5 days.
It's 5 days.
40 hours.
5 days.
Yep. Available either on-site or off-site.
Great. Now, what about customization? How can I change this? Can I make customizations? Can I basically, tailor it to fit the needs of my company?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to distinguish between customization versus configuration. So you can configure lots of things. You can configure notifications, workflow rules. Soon you'll be able to configure the colors and the look and feel and the logos and things like that within the application as well. But I call that configuration because it's preserved on upgrade. Customization has a connotation to it that a customization, that's something I have to redo after I upgrade. Well, with configurations, which is what we support, it allows you to completely personalize the application. Everything migrates seamlessly as you upgrade.
That's great. And we're just going down a whole list here. We're just getting a lot of questions from you guys, and that's great. So, we covered a little bit how it's a little different than the Service Cloud and how people had been kind of configuring the Service Cloud. But specifically, how is it different than the Service Cloud? We talked about the inventory management, but also what about ITIL?
Yeah, so our application is built based on ITIL standards. I will not go so far as to say it's certified because we haven't taken it for certification yet. As I mentioned earlier, we are rapidly iterating this application and adding the other process areas to ITIL over the next few releases, and we will be certifying with Pink Verify and potentially OGC over the coming months.
Perfect, and we're starting to get multiple questions about mobile, which I think is interesting. I would always think of a internal service desk really working primarily from the browser, but they're asking, what is that timeline for mobile?
Yeah, so the timeline for mobile, and again, pointing back to Andrew's safe harbor statement, as these are plans at this point, but we are targeting that for later this summer.
Okay, later this summer, and because you're built on the Force.com platform.
And because we're on the Force.com platform, we're doing we have another release plan for later this summer that has mobile as part of it.
And that would be essentially through the Force.com mobile platform as well. So it would work on BlackBerries and iPhones, and I think we're looking at the Android right now, and again, we're starting to look at the iPad as well.
With a slight slant for the self-service users that allow self-service through those devices as well, through a slightly different application, but yes.
Perfect. Now, what about multi-language? Do you have multi-language in there? And I don't think you do much about multi-currency, but
no, there wouldn't be much with multi-currency within the help desk application, but multi-language is something on a roadmap for a later release, full multi-language within the application. However, with the self-service portal, you can actually translate the text and labels on the self-service portal using the built-in translation capabilities within the Force.com platform. So again, something we're leveraging there, and we have done that for a couple of languages, and we'll continue to do so based on the demand we see from customers. Great,
and I've got one more question here, and then Chad, I'm throwing this totally out, and anybody can always email me at aleigh, A-L-E-I-G-H, at salesforce.com, but maybe for additional questions or information, if they can't find it on the website, after you answer this question, maybe throw out your email.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
People could contact you. But let me ask you that last question, which is, you showed some reports and graphs. What kind of metrics and reporting are built into the overall solution?
Yeah, most of what we're tracking right now, most of what we're tracking in the application right now are focused on summary metrics about what types of calls are coming in, what the first call resolution rates are, what the mean time to resolution is. But really and we will continue delivering those with every release in the application. Really the key thing to point out though is because this is on the Force.com platform, you have access to the reporting engine on the Force.com platform. All of our objects are available there, and you can create any type of report across any of the metrics that we've defined in the system or that you've defined in the system as well.
That is great. So with that, I think we're just about out of time. I really do want to thank both Chad from BMC and also Steve Hendricks from IDC. And I have to tell you, from Salesforce.com, it truly is an honor to have two organizations the caliber of BMC and IDC participate with us today. We had several hundred callers coming in today. I can tell that there's a lot of demand about this product. Hopefully, we've given you a lot of information in the call. We've given you places to go next. Chad, that email, I don't know if you threw it out.
Email address, it's Chad_Haftorson, that's H-A-F as in Frank, T-O-R-S-O-N, @bmc.com. And yeah, feel free to email me with any questions as well, or you can easily get to contacts who can answer questions for you through either AppExchange or bmc.com/force.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. And again, thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.